Hey there, it's Kathlena, and you already know it. Dang, that's delicious. Today I'm gonna be showing you how to make ladyfingers. Now, these aren't any just regular run-of-the-mill ladyfingers. These are gluten-free, vegan, so no egg ladyfingers. They're very allergy friendly. Now, we're gonna be making them a couple of ways. Really just one way, I'll talk about the other way. This is really what a ladyfinger should look like. It's tall. I had to do a little research, but you can also make them not tall. Let me show you guys the size comparison. Okay, so clearly we can make them pretty flat. The advantage to having a flatter ladyfinger is that, if you wanted to use them as decor to encircle a cake and not have like these giant puffy ladyfingers like sausage fingers sticking out, this is a really great option. However, if you want the traditional ladyfinger experience, this is what you'll make. Now, I will tell you, I've gotten mixed comments on the concept of tiramisu, etc. Not because I've made it or anything, but really because everyone is just so opinionated. They're like, it's just eating soggy cookies. Okay, well, I don't know because I've never had it. I just think it's a cool concept in my head. And of course, the first step to any great concept is your foundation, and in this case, it's ladyfingers. So without further ado, let's get started. Today you're going to need 2 mixing bowls. In fact, let me preface it with this. If you don't have an electric stand mixer or an electric handheld mixer, you're not making this. You're just not. You might be able to sort of make something, but you're not gonna get the same results with your arm. Not to say that some of you aren't, sporting a gun show. But no, you really want the electric mixer for this. So we are going to open up a jar of chickpeas. Now this is the Jovial jar. This is the brand that I suggest the most, mainly because I've tested a few out and it whips up faster and stays stiff longer. And if you've never seen the power of aquafaba, buckle up, get ready to be amazed. The first step is to take your chickpeas and you are going to pour it directly over a colander, and this is what we're going after. This liquid down here is called aquafaba, and it basically means the cooking liquid from like chickpeas and other legumes. You can technically do this with other legumes, black beans, etc., but this is the one that I have found works the best. Now, do not throw out your extra chickpeas. You'll want to save them. You can use them for a chili. You can use them for a faux tuna. I'll link you to some ideas on things that you can do with your leftover chickpeas, but absolutely do not toss them. You can also freeze them. Okay, now to this, you're going to add half a teaspoon of cream of tartar. And you can just tap it right in. And you're going to hook this up to your stand mixer. You're gonna mix this on high, and it's going to get a little bit loud. So I'm gonna leave you here. While that's mixing up, I'm actually gonna get all of my dry ingredients into my empty second mixing bowl, okay? And additionally, if you'll be making thickened milk, now's the time to do it. So this is what my thickened milk looks like. It's actually been in the fridge overnight, so it's a little bit thicker, and that's fine. But if you need to make it, you can make it fresh and just give it a few minutes to cool down before moving forward. Okay, I've whipped for about 4 minutes. And if this is not the coolest thing ever. Okay, if you can't do that, it's not been done right. So these are the nice peaks, and this should absolutely make you think of egg whites. And you might be thinking, I wonder if you can make hold on. There are limits to what this can do, but it is super exciting. So don't let me slow down the excitement train. The next thing we're going to do, and this is typical of a classic meringue, we're actually going to tap in castor sugar. So I'm gonna get my castor sugar measured out, and what I'll do, and I'll show it to you, but basically we're gonna have this mixing, and we're just gonna be tapping it in. Once all the sugar is in, we'll continue to mix, and then we'll be ready to move on to the next step. here I've got all of our dry ingredients. And to this, I'm going to be adding my thickened milk. Thickened milk essentially performs almost like a yogurt. You can see it's pretty gelatinous. It's almost like a weird oatmeal. And I'm just gonna add that right in. Going to add the vanilla and our olive oil. Now you can use a different oil. You don't have to use this one. This is what I use. And you'll see I'm working on my handy dandy kitchen scale because it's a lot easier than measuring and transferring and doing all these things. Now what we're going to do is essentially swap our wire whisk, okay? Now we will lose some air and that's okay. But we're gonna get this first mix going. I'm gonna tap as much of this out as I can. It's very thick, in a good way. Now, you'll see a lot of clumps have formed. And what you're going to do, look at this. Oh, it's so great. You are going to add in essentially about half of your mix. Don't forget to think about, when I say half, I mean half of the overall total. So right about there, okay? Because there was already a lot stuck to the whisk. I'm gonna mix this up again. Now, for the rest of this, what I'm going to do first is scrape down the bowl and mix this in. You don't want to be super duper rough, but you also need to mix it in. So find that good balance. You'll notice we need to now do this by hand, and that's because we don't want to lose all of this aquafaba magic. If we were to continue with the stand mixer, this is where things would go south. And this is what your mix should approximately start to look like, okay? Now what we're going to do is add in the rest of our aquafaba. And with the same technique, I'm just going to fold this in. And you kind of just want to do these turns and push down like so. Okay, do not be alarmed by how liquidy your batter looks. That's what we want. The next step is to prepare your molds. Now, this is closer to a traditional ladyfinger mold. You can technically use these for faux eclairs as well. More on that another day. And then here I've actually got a candy bar mold because I thought, wouldn't it be cute to have like little baby ladyfingers for some sort of like miniature project? I know. Okay, what you'll want to do, you need to have a nice little mesh strainer for this. And I am going to put some organic powdered sugar into my strainer. And I'm going to just gently tap a little bit of sugar into each cavity. The reason why is because later when we release these, they'll come out a lot easier. And you might be wondering like, well, why not use a baking spray? I don't use baking sprays. It's like a thing for me. I don't do it. There's the aerosols, there's the corn, there's a lot of reasons why. So this will be our method for today. The next step is to use a disposable piping bag, and we are going to transfer our batter over into our bag. I'm being mindful and like super gentle with this batter. This is not something you just want to like roughhouse with. You want to make sure that you don't lose any of that precious air we've taken all that time to develop, and just pipe right into your trays. You want to fill about halfway up. Okay, cleaned up a little bit. Oven is preheated. And the final thing, you have a couple of choices. Number one, you don't have to do anything. You can just leave these plain. Number two, you can dust with a little bit of powdered sugar on top. And this actually creates a really cool crust effect on the final ladyfingers. I think it's interesting. Never eaten it. So it could just be interesting in my head and not in reality. The taste testers will have to let me know how that all works out. The next option, which I think is super exciting, a cacao dusting. Not a lot. You don't need much of this. We're talking like a teaspoon of cacao. It's really not much that we're going to be dusting on here. Okay, maybe like a teaspoon and a half. But just go through and give your ladyfingers a little dust. Do not do the cacao if you're planning on making something with your ladyfingers that clashes with cacao. You want to make sure you're using flavors that complement one another. Now here I've got a baking tray. You don't need the baking tray. You could actually just stick these directly on the oven rack, but it's just kind of like, you know, silicone and bendy, and it gets a little bit difficult to take in and out. So you're just going to transfer these like so. We'll get these popped into the oven, and I can't wait to show you the final result. All right, guys, it's time to see our loot. Look at these, aren't they just gorgeous? You can see we've got a great rise. This is beautiful. These are ready to come out. I'm gonna get these out and let them start to cool down. Okay, do these look great or do these look great? That's right, the correct answer is that they look great. The biggest tip I'm gonna give you, because I've tested this out, be really gentle with your release. If not, they can absolutely just be like, pop, and break apart. So, what you'll want to do is very gently, using both hands, just kind of pull apart your mold. And then I like, rather than like just press really quickly, I like to press in a few spots very gently and then do one big press. And you can see it comes out. How great is this? Okay. It's just so pretty. I just kind of want to stare at it all day and just be like, little lady finger, where will you be next week in life? Will you be on a cake? Will you be in a pudding? I don't know, but you're really pretty. Okay, same thing over here, right? Just give it a little pull. And on the sides where you can't like pull it apart, what you can do is just sort of stick your fingers in a little bit and just wiggle them around. And it just naturally loosens up that silicone. And again, I'm just gonna gently press in a couple of spots to make sure it's released. Then give it one big press and pull out and be like, oh, now you have a friend. Okay, I am clearly really excited about ladyfingers. I don't even know what my obsession is with ladyfingers, but I am. So I really hope you make this, enjoy it, and have everyone saying, you know it. Dang, that's delicious. I'll see you next time.